Yo, what's going on, everybody? You have Tone here, bringing you guys my draft analysis for Season 1 of the APA Little Cup Wi-Fi League. So, this essentially is just another draft league, as I'm just trying to wind down Gen 7, do some more draft league content, and I decided to immerse myself into doing Little Cup Wi-Fi League was something I was looking forward to doing for quite a while, and luckily for me, that the APA did its side league. This is different. This is a side thing to the actual APA, where they have this Wi-Fi division. They also have a showdown division with Little Cup. So I decided to take part in Wi-Fi because a Wi-Fi Little Cup league isn't really going to come up that often, and I decided to jump at the chance to take a part in it. Figured that it's not that often that you get to use Little Cup Pokemon in draft league format, so I decided to give it another shot. I did do a Little Cup tour a few months back with the APA. Had a very fun squad in that as well. And unfortunately, I didn't make it past the bracket round, the pools, mainly due to differential, but that's in the past and focusing on the here and now. So this essentially is just going to break down my team. I'm not really going to go too much into detail about why I drafted what I drafted, because I am not the best when it comes to Little Cup. I just wanted to use Pokemon that fit my style, were diverse enough, stuff like that. So I do know a little bit about Little Cup, but not to that extent. My knowledge is not that vast. But in any case, the draft process essentially is same as always. You draft a tier 1, 2 tier 2s, 2 tier 3s, a tier 4, and then you get 200 free points to pick up an additional 4 Pokemon for a grand total of 10 Little Cup Pokemon per team. And this is a 20-person draft. It's not the standard 16, so it's a 4 more people, so you really have to try to get your Mons, try to get your Mons when you can, and make the most of your pick when it is your turn. So just to jump right into my draft recap, not gonna waste you guys' time in terms of how the format works. I mean, most people that watch this already know how draft format does work, especially in a tiering format. So the draft order was randomized, and out of 20 coaches, wouldn't you know, yeah, I got the first pick in the draft. Like, I was not expecting the number 1 pick in this draft at all. Basically, I get first crack at any of the Little Cup Pokemon available. There's a lot of strong tier 1s I was considering with that first pick, and I really had to make that first pick count, considering how many picks go between this pick and my round 2 pick. So decided it basically just came down between 2 Pokemon on my radar since I had the first pick in the draft. And with the first pick in the AP Little Cup draft, your Miami Malamarlins have taken Vullaby with the first pick in the draft. It really came down to either grabbing Vullaby, number 1 overall, or grabbing Mienfoo. But I decided on going with Vullaby because of the fact that Vullaby just does a lot in Little Cup, between being not just defensive, it can be an offensive threat with like weak armor, doubling its speed, and with Berry Juice it can U-turn, it can defog, it can nasty plot, as I already mentioned. Like, it can just do so many things, and it's a very, very, very scary threat, especially considering the fact that you don't really know what Vullaby set it's going to be until it's too late, and then this thing could potentially just put in a lot of work, give him the chance. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot of fun trying out Vullaby for the first time, and I have used stuff like I have used its evolved form Mandibuzz a couple of times in the past, so I know how Mandibuzz works. It's gonna be a little bit different because if I try to use Nasty Plot, it's gonna be a little bit different. But I'm really happy about trying out Vullaby for the first time, making it the #1 overall pick in the draft. So yeah, I'm really excited about this mon. So moving on. Since it's a lot of picks, I think between there's 38 picks between between Vullaby and the next time it got back to me, and I knew there was a lot of things that I wanted to take in for my round 2 pick that I knew wouldn't come back to me, stuff like Spritzee and all that stuff. But there was one Pokemon that an alternative to Spritzee that I was definitely looking at, and that was basically trying to build a team where Vullaby can shine the most, and then it eventually just turned out into becoming like a balanced core where anything can potentially be a threat given the right circumstances. And in my typical fashion, the team ended up being a lot bulkier than some might accustom it to be. So the first thing I decided to do was look at the stuff that can check Vullaby, and I decided to grab what checks Vullaby. I try to get my hands on whatever checks Vullaby, so I don't have to worry about facing off against those sort of threats down the road. So with my round 2 pick, one of the things that can check Vullaby, the first Pokemon was Spritzee, which can check like Nasty Plot variants of Vullaby, but not physical ones. And in terms of vice versa, the other Pokemon that fits the bill as a Vullaby check just so happened to be my round 2 pick, which is Snubbull. So Snubbull does check physical Vullaby sets with Brave Bird, since it has Intimidate, it has Play Rough, so it hits Vullaby super effectively, and if it's weak armor, its defense gets lower, its speed gets faster. And on top of that, Snubbull just gets a lot of great utility between Intimidate, it can bulk up, Heal Bell, Thunder Wave, it can Thief, so it can steal an opponent's berry juice or a Violite after it's consumed its item. And it also has a good plethora of coverage options outside of Stat Play Rough. It gets access to Fire Punch, Earthquake, I already talked about Thief. So yeah, it's just a really fun mon in general, a nice physically defensive pivot with Intimidate, as I talk about weakening those special attackers and giving my team a fighting check, which most teams that I remember from playing Little Cup, the amount of Little Cup knowledge I know it pays off to have some sort of fighting check on my team. And Vullaby, while it does have the ability to check fighting types because it does get access to Brave Bird, it's not a full-on counter. Snubbull, it's not a counter either, but at the very least it can soften those fighting type attacks, switch on them, and be a knockoff Absorber, Thief, an item from said Pokemon, and be a really big problem for my opponent. So amazing that I was able to get Snubbull, considering how many I had to wait 38 picks between my Vullaby and my round 2 pick, as I mentioned. So yeah, picking up Snubbull with my round 2 pick, and because I'm the first pick, I do get the wheel. So with my round 3 pick, I had to get some speed, and my round 3 pick just so happened to be Meowth. So really wanted to make sure I had some sort of speed on this team, and Meowth was the best mon available to fit the bill, just because of the fact that it also gives my team a priority option with Fake Out, Technician boosted Feints, doing mixed Life Orb with like Water Pulse, Hidden Powers, anything of the sort. It also gets access to Nasty Plot like Vullaby, so it can be a bit of an annoyance in that regard. It gets momentum with U-turn, so yeah, it can do a lot of things for my team, but more importantly, like I mentioned, does give my team something relatively fast to rely on in terms of just having stuff like the Fake Out option, just having a fast overall attacker in that regard. And I already talked about how well Technician is in terms of powering up Meowth's weaker attacks, especially considering Life Orb Fake Out, Life Orb's Technician boosted stab feints and all that stuff can be very problematic for my team, for an opposing team if they don't have an adequate normal resist. And quite frankly, I do feel as though this team was built fairly decently well in terms of making me outshine as well, especially giving me another partner with U-turn, so it gives me momentum in all that regards to pair up with something like Vullaby, which can check fighting type mons, as well as having Snubble in the back to help out Meowth as well. So moving on to my round 4 pick. My round 4 pick, I ended up going with Ferroseed. Now before I went with Ferroseed, I didn't actually want Ferroseed. My initial pick, I really wanted Trubbish in this for my round 4 pick. Unfortunately, Trubbish got taken, I think, the same round that I took Meowth. So initially, I wasn't going to go after Ferroseed here, but Ferroseed actually gave my team something very, very useful and something I didn't have yet, which was the ability to have some sort of Stealth Rocker or and the option with Spikes also gives me access to Thunder Wave. Leech Seed, not really that good in the Little Cup metagame, considering you don't get that much health back in terms of recovery from Leech Seed. And anyone who knows me knows how much I love Ferrothorn, so grabbing Ferroseed, not really the same thing, but hey, it works out very, very well in this format, especially considering that having access to another knockoff user is also very, very nice. A very solid utility mon. I already talked about the ability to have Stealth Rock, Spikes, Thunder Wave, knockoff. It's just a great utility mon in general, and it pairs up so well with the rest of my team. I am stacking on a bit of a fighting weakness of sorts with me grabbing Ferroseed, but Ferroseed plus Snubble plus Vullaby is still very difficult. It can still be a very, very difficult core to break past and to more accentuate my bulky team with my round 5 pick. I ended up grabbing Frillish with my round 5 pick, which is a tier 2, and anyone who's played like early Black and White knows about the combination of Ferrothorn plus Jellicent. How they're a formidable combination, as they pretty much cover for each other's weaknesses very, very well. Frillish being weak to Ghost, Electric, and Grass, and Ferroseed covers and Dark, and Ferroseed essentially covers half of those, and then Ghost and Dark is covered by my Vullaby, and Dark as well is covered by Snubble. So yeah, Frillish is just a very, very solid water type option. Giving me a water immunity with Water Absorb, a spin blocker, a lot of other utility options, getting access to Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Recovers, pretty much acts in the same vein as Jellicent would, but a little bit better in my opinion, just because of the fact that I have a chance with the water immunity, a normal immunity, a fighting immunity, so I have another fighting check on my team. And it's just a very, very nice option to have between not only it being this thing defensive, it could also go offensive if I wanted to, because it does have some pretty decent special attack. So the option of me running like potentially running Choice Specs or Choice Scarf Frillish is not out of the realm of possibilities. And yeah, my team is setting up to be really, really nice in terms of my bulk, between Vullaby, Snubble, Ferroseed, and Frillish. Is like a very, very solid bulky core that I love to have on any given draft. So moving on, my round 6 pick so this is a little bit different here, because my round 6 pick, I got Litleo here, but it wasn't originally Litleo. So after the draft had ended, I made a post-draft transaction. So this originally was not going to be Litleo, it was going to be Carablast. I originally had Carablast on this team, but I dropped it for Litleo, and the reasoning for that is while Carablast did give my team a physical wall breaker, and the fact that getting access, being a strong Pokemon with access to stuff like No Guard, Megahorn, another knockoff user, stuff like that, it basically I wanted another fast Pokemon to go alongside Meowth, because I didn't want my team to be too slow. And while Carablast isn't slow, it's not particularly fast either. So if I brought Carablast to any given match, I would either have to be relying on Thunder Wave support between my Snubble and my Ferroseed, or I would have to be bringing a Choice Scarf, which I kind of didn't want to do on a regular basis. So instead, I dropped in and picked up Litleo here, which was dropped by someone else, and then I picked it up out of free agency. So Litleo gives my team a fire type, which I lacked. It also gives me another normal type, so I have normal spam going between Litleo and Meowth. It also gives me some other solid utility options in terms of running Fire Blast. It could be a Scoffa. Kind of similar in the vein of that it can do the same things that its evolved form Pyroar can, just a little bit differently. Unnerve does help out a little bit in the fact that it can't consume berries. I don't know if Unnerve works with berry juice. I haven't tested that yet, so it's if it works, then that's fantastic. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's no real big thing to me in this regard. But yeah, just having that extra speed option on my draft is something really, really helpful. And Litleo definitely fits that bill, and also gives me the fire type option that I did not have initially. So moving on to my round 7 pick, I picked up my round 7 pick. I ended up going with Geodude because my team did not have a normal resist, and I wanted to have a flying check on my team, so stuff like Rufflet and Doduo just don't have their way with my draft, and Geodude fit that build really, really nicely. It also gives my team another Stealth Rocker, which I only had Ferroseed for in terms of hazards, and I wanted to have that extra Stealth Rock option. And it also gives my team an electric immunity, as I didn't have that either, as it was really just pinned on Ferroseed to check electric types as well, and I didn't want to have that just fall solely on Ferroseed's shoulders, or lack thereof of shoulders. But in any case, I already talked about Geodude being my normal check, my flying check, electric check, Stealth Rocker. Does get access to Sturdy, so I can run Sturdy Berry Juice. It doesn't get access to Recycle, but it does give me a very, very solid option in terms of being a Stealth Rocker, a physical attacker with Stab Earthquake and Stab Rock Blast to break those sashes, bypass Sturdies and whatnot. So it's gonna be a really, really, really interesting. I really, really like Geodude on this draft, considering what my team lacked heading into round number 7. I really feel like Geodude fulfilled my roles, or lack thereof, in terms of having that extra hazard setter with my normal resist and my flying check, so stuff like Doduo don't just freely Brave Bird on my entire team. And it also helps out that the fact that its weaknesses are covered mostly by what I already have, specifically the Frillish and my Ferroseed and the Snubble, so that's really, really nice. So moving now into round number 8. So had to wait a while, and initially I was trying to get with my round 8 pick, I wanted to try to get Elgium just to have some sort of Trick Room option, but unfortunately Elgium didn't make it back to me, so I settled with the next best thing from my my round 8 pick, and that's going to be Esper here. So really wanted to have that Psychic type, and while Esper doesn't really it's not the first Pokemon that comes to mind being a strong Psychic type. Yes, it's not an Abra, no, or anything like a Solosis or anything, but it does have some pretty cool abilities, most specifically having Infiltrator in case someone wants to run like a substitute set. I can bypass that. If somebody wants to bring like dual screens, Infiltrator bypasses that as well. It also gives me some sort of option in terms of like a Choice Scarfer or Z user to make up for its lack of his weakness to knockoff, and another pretty solid speed tier of hitting 17 max speed to complement my Litleo and my Meowth. So I can also run like Choice Scarf sets with Trick or Calm Mind sets, whatever the situation calls for us. But I can pretty much tune it to whatever the team is lacking. But having a strong Psychic type or some sort of Psychic type check, it's mainly another way of dealing with fighting types as well for my team, so I'm not forcing the issue all on my Snubble. So that's also the main reasoning for picking up Esper here, and like I said, it also helps out with having that extra speed on my draft, so I don't just have Meowth and Litleo filling out that role of a fast attacker, whether it be physical or special. So with my last 2 picks, I have to pick up 2 tier 4s, and the first tier 4 I picked up in this case, I picked up Gulpin with my with one of my tier 4 picks, and mainly the reasoning for Gulpin is I wanted a knockoff switch-in because I didn't have one. If I was able to get Trubbish, like I mentioned earlier, then this wouldn't have been a problem. Gulpin was literally the only thing available. Well, there was Grimer, but that was tier 3, and I couldn't pick up another tier 3, so I went with Gulpin instead. And while Gulpin doesn't have the best stats, no, it does have a very, very wide move pool. On top of that, it does get access to Sticky Hold, so its item can't be knocked off, and so I can run like a Berry Juice set or anything of the sort. It does get some wide variety of coverage options, as I mentioned, stuff like Fire Punch. Also has Sludge Bomb. It gets like Thunderbolt. I think it gets Thunderbolt or something along those lines. It has like a multitude of coverage options at its disposal. So don't let the low stats fool you. It does get some very, very cool options. Move pool wise, and mainly it also gives my team a Toxic Spikes Absorber if I do need it, because at the moment my hazard removal is literally just default Vullaby. And if somebody tries to bring Toxic Spikes against me, I want to have the option of having a T-Spike Absorber, so that's also my reasoning behind grabbing Gulpin with one of my tier 4 picks. So, now for my last pick, and since this is the last pick in the draft, initially my last round pick was Patrat, but as I mentioned, when I dropped Carablast for Litleo, I also dropped Patrat after I dropped Carablast. I wanted to see if there was any other bug type available in tier 4 to make up for the loss of Carablast, and there was actually one bug type available that sort of fit Carablast's niche in a sense, and that bug type just so happened to be Grubbin. Now Grubbin's not the ideal. It doesn't really come out at you as a big offensive bug type, no, but at the same time though, Grubbin is still pretty powerful despite its lower attack stat than Carablast. It does get access to stuff like X-Scissor for Bug Stab. It does get access to stuff like Wild. I think it gets access to Wild Charge. Its special attack stat isn't that terrible, so it can run stuff like Thunderbolt. And even unbeknownst to me, I actually had to look this up with the fact that Grubbin does get access to Volt Switch. I did not know that. So yeah, that really took me by surprise. So I have some sort of extra momentum on my team to pair up with Meowth or Vullaby, so I can really surprise someone with Volt Switch with Grubbin if I do bring like a Choice Scarf set. So yeah, it looks really, really fun on paper, and it does have some other options at its disposal, stuff like Crunch. I think it also gets access to, like, I don't remember all the moves off the top of my head, but yeah. Overall, this is looking like a very, very fun team to try out. It's just like a very diverse team. Yeah, I just love everything about my draft, I'm not gonna lie. Despite the fact that I had the first pick and I had to wait a long time for the rest of my mons, I still feel as though I got a very, very solid squad in the end here with my group of 10. So other than that, in terms of battles, everything else is gonna all the standard APA rules is gonna apply. So only no more than two Pokemon have the same held items. Battles will be on Wi-Fi at level 5, so be on the lookout for week 1, which will be going up, I believe, sometime in late May. I'm recording this draft analysis very early on, like it's at the time of me recording this, it's April 30th. So at the time of this going up, it will be May 19th, if I recall correctly. So yeah, it's going to be a long layoff here, but I just wanted to get this out the way before I forget, and I don't have any time to record this. But anyway, that's going to be my team for Season 1 of the APA Little Cup Wi-Fi Draft League. If you guys did enjoy if you guys liked the team, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Week 1 will be going up, I believe, on May 26th, as I mentioned. So be on the lookout for that. And that's going to be it from me. Hope you guys did enjoy, and until the next time, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.